Here we are. Or here I am. Seth's finishing a carrot.
I'm hungry, man.
Is the carrot eaten?
The carrot has been ate,
Excellent.
and now we can review.
So, what are we reviewing today, Bob?
Track 1 is Wandering by Orthuss.
Bob, what a weird accent you have. I don't even know what country that is.
It's not any. It's
Not
like
applicable. All right.
Slavic sent through a pitch modulator.
All right. Shall we watch this track?
Oh yeah,
All right,
I'm ready. I'm ready to
Here
do
we
some
go.
wandering.
Let's do this.
Yep.
Rain.
Oh no, I thought you were gonna do a 3, 2, 1
Oh,
here.
I didn't do a 3, 2, 1. Sorry, let me do that again.
No, you didn't. Come
All
on,
right,
now
you
I have
ready?
to eat,
Three.
I have to eat another carrot.
Oh. You
All
ready
right.
now?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
It's not just rain. It's slow-mo rain.
Oh yeah,
That's how you know it's serious.
it's gonna be a very serious track, I'm sure.
I'm such a fan of the lo-fi hip-hop music, so
Yeah. Starts out with a cranberry
And-
cannon, and then we got this. You were very right to when you compared this to Chewy. It's like very, because I wasn't thinking about that at the time, but then when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, totally Chewy Ninja style. But then
Oh, yeah.
definitely has the syncs, or like the tightly synced style that Light Fantastic had, you know? Which makes sense because, you know, he says it was
And-
inspired by Light Fantastic.
I think also what I like about this track is that it gives the different syncs like an appropriate weight. Like the things that have like heavy thuds, like the bass drum, are sort of more muted when he hits rotations. Like he'll just be sort of like he'll hit it very lightly. But when it's like the gun cocking noise, like that,
yeah.
he'll do a lot more of a crisp rotation.
Do you want to just watch it again?
Yeah.
Let's just play it again. We'll watch it
Okay.
in slow-mo soon, but it's hard to... Anyway, yeah, let's do it. 3, 2, 1, go.
Dude, the rain never gets old.
I might have to disagree with you on that, but...
It's reversing back into a draw. Oh, the rain's falling up. But yeah, it starts out very like smooth and fast moving, which is what I initially drew the like Chewy comparison because it was like tiny
Yeah.
lines. But then it goes into this.
There was that
Like-
little stack moment, which felt very much Light Fantastic, and then that moment right there, which is
Yeah.
probably my favorite, with the fake ear time, and then back into the...
Yeah,
I think this track gets stronger as it goes, honestly. I like how you pointed out the kick drum hits and how they were like little tumbling lines that like barely affected him, but it like I really like that just because it feels refreshing because we don't see things that don't affect Bosch like a ton,
Yeah.
you know, and so it's like it feels good to have. And then it's only used whenever it's like those kick drum moments happen.
It's
you know?
muted. So it's like
Yeah.
not only is it like syncing, it's very consistent, which is something that Light
Yeah.
Fantastic had in moments, but I think this does a little better if
I
we
would
are
say
going to draw the...
towards the end of the. I would say towards the end of the track. For me, I think towards the end of the track, it develops a sort of consistency. I think towards the beginning, it's a little confused about what it's trying to do, and then towards the end, it gets a lot more sure-footed about like this is what I'm doing here, this is what I'm doing here, this is what I'm doing here. You know. You want to
Yeah, I
watch it
can
in
see
slow-mo?
Oh yeah.
And then maybe when we're done, we can watch it in fast motion again. All right. Ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
Now we get to see the raindrops even slower, and
Even slower.
that's where the payoff is, dude. That's where the payoff is. You can see every single frame of the ripple, every single one.
So,
And that
I was thinking, there's one moment that stands out to me in a sort of I guess not a totally positive way for me, which is the stacks, like the moment where it's like dun 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 dun, and there's like 5 stacks. We'll see it shortly, but there's like 5 stacks in a row, and it feels like he was sort of trying to imitate Chuggers there, and I think it worked a lot better when it was like later on he starts to do like here's maybe like here's a stack for sometimes, and then sometimes it's a stack that goes into a fling, and then other times it's like just a little line that bumps him a little, you know. So anyway, we'll watch it in slow mo and we'll see.
Yeah. I do think the rain actually does serve sort of a purpose. It has the same sort of like muted aesthetic, so it does give us sort of an idea of what we're going to expect in the track, even if sort of implicitly.
Except, I mean, it's a high to mid-speed quirk.
Yeah, it's not
really
slow. It's not as slow as the
it's not really no, it's not really slow at all. I mean, if you're comparing it to Giga Quirk, maybe like that part right there stands out to me as maybe the least sure-footed part of the track. But then it's shortly followed by my favorite part. I think that there's a lot of great attention to rotation, sort of like Chuggers did in Light Fantastic. There's a lot of great attention to the rotation of Bosch. But then there's also just like Light Fantastic is very just bam, 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 you know? And I liked how this track was a lot more chill. That's my favorite moment there, where he pops up, like he comes down and pops up, and then pops
That's a good
into
moment.
it.
That's a good moment.
But then I think that first airtime is where that's the turning point for me, where the track becomes something that I start to enjoy. And then, you know, this stuff, like there he has a stack that goes into a fling that works with the music, you know. It's hard to critique this without the music. But we can't listen to the music at quarter speed because that would just be obnoxious.
Yeah.
We could try listening to it at half speed, and maybe we could have more observation.
It's just like very...
Let's do it after this is done. We'll listen to it at half speed. Okay. Just because it's hard to critique it when it goes by so fast, but then it's also hard to critique it without music. Because this is like, I mean, this just looks like it could be anything.
Which I think is a sign that it's that's working really well with the music. That we can only really appreciate it with the music means that it's not just another track in a vacuum, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's a good thing, that we have to be like, okay, we need to watch this with music. Because typically when we do slow-mo, we're looking for moments that we miss when the track does it. And I think this track does a good moment of a good job.
Oh, we can talk about this Cramule moment, though. I really like, it's like the one time in the piece, in the song, where the beat stops, and the choice to have that being the one time in the track where he stops and is in this long Cramule pause, it works beautifully.
Yeah, no,
and then he kicks back into it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, having this constant swirling motion that Bosch is doing, and then having that stop, and he's just moving really slowly, and then kick back in accordance with what the music is doing. It's just really aware of the song and of its own structure, you know, compositionally.
Is it weird for me to say that this is one of my favorite quirks so far? Like in the past couple of years, this is like up there in terms of quirks.
Yeah. What other quirks are up there for you?
That's tough to say. Like,
just so Orthuss gets an idea of what you're comparing it to.
Oh man, it really like, I like a lot of what This Is Love does with precise syncing. I like a lot of I like the sort of interesting like structural stuff that Don't Worry We'll Keep in Touch does.
Yeah. Any tracks that aren't by Gao Yubao?
I'm sorry, I love Gao Yubao so much.
Do you like this more or less than Light Fantastic?
Oh, that's tough, because when I think of Light Fantastic, I think of like the series as a whole, and I think it's interesting that he has that continuity there. I like the continuity of Chuggers' Black Album series, but I really like this as a standalone piece compared to Life Fantastic. I think they're about on par, just in my personal view.
Why?
Uh,
Or what's
uh,
better about this track? What's better about Light Fantastic? What do you not like
uh,
about this track as much? What do you not like about Light Fantastic as much? Also,
okay, so
while you're doing that, let's restart in half speed.
oh man, that's gonna be
You can
distracting.
mute
But
it if you want, but I want to hear it.
all right.
Ready?
Mhm.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Um, I think this does a lot better at like committing to like single aesthetics and like working on certain moments. Um,
Yeah.
like I think Life Fantastic has some pretty consistently like interesting things, but I think this one has like higher highs. Um, when you're thinking
For
about
me,
like,
I like how Light Fantastic is like it's super poppy, like things just boom, boom,
mhm,
boom, and sometimes it feels like Bosch is locked into the music, um, which shows like a certain amount of confidence. But then a lot
yeah,
of times Light Fantastic does. You know what? I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop this for now because we're not talking about it. But we'll restart in a second. But a lot of times Light Fantastic does like weird things where there'll be just a random manual for no reason,
yeah,
and it'll be like, "What are you doing?" Um, or they'll be like, I don't know. They'll just like there's some times where he just throws something in that just doesn't match the aesthetic. And in
yeah,
this track, everything matches the aesthetic, you know? The only time there's a long line is when he hits that cramule, which is perfect, you know?
yeah, because it's a digression from the norm of the song.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I think,
so
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's not even a matter of like which is better, but I
There's
just think
also,
he's made a piece that's up there, you know?
yeah, I also really like Orthuss's use of airtime, which is something I didn't
Oh
see
yeah.
enough of in Light
Oh
Fantastic.
yes.
Um, And I think part of that might have been the nature of the song in Light Fantastic, but then like I just love airtime that works well.
Yeah,
You
because you have
know?
this moment of just like he's flying and then something catches him and then
Yeah. It's a
that's visceral. That's
yeah,
super visceral because
exactly.
you're like, "Oh man, he's been caught and now where's he going to go from there?" you
And
know?
Light Fantastic had some stuff where it was like he's now flying through the air and now he's engaged again, but it's different from the airtime Orthuss does because Orthuss sort of tosses him and you get this feeling of like an arc. Whereas in Light Fantastic, oftentimes it's just like he's going down and then he's like no rotation and then he goes back into a fling, but there's no change in his direction, you know?
Mhm.
So now let's watch it at half speed.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. So how are we doing on time?
So yeah,
Oh, we're good.
overall I think this is a fantastic addition to your collection of tracks, dude.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot.
I
It's
think
unafraid.
I think it's
It's
my
unafraid
favorite
to-
Orthuss track.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
I would
sure.
agree there. Yeah.
Oh, there, I just saw that he was trying something out where he did an inverse fling on some of the notes. I think this part was like, it was too strong of emotion where the track wasn't doing, or this music wasn't doing anything interesting.
Yeah.
That why that stack moment doesn't work for me.
Yeah, like
And
all those like bing, bing, bing,
love
bing,
this
bing. They're like
airtime.
super. Yeah.
I maybe would have liked something in that there's a snare drum during the airtime. I don't know, that's just a personal thing though. But then like
Yeah.
the pop up into the fakie and then pop back down. And then this one is great too.
I think that airtime moment only works because it's as long as it is.
That's
So.
true, that's true. I don't know. Yeah. That's a good point though. That's a very good
It
point.
really depends. As my roommate likes to say, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a jolly Christmas. I don't know what my roommate really means by that, but
And I think your point about the like the lo-fi bass drum hits
yeah,
is also a really good one because that's something you also don't see in Light Fantastic. Everything in Light Fantastic affects him very strongly.
Yeah.
You don't typically see something that just affects him a little bit.
yeah, and I think it works especially with this piece.
And especially it's those two parts in the song when the track is playing, before the end of the track, where it has those, and to have them the same thing repeated.
Mm-hmm.
I think also in the second half of the track there's just a really nice attention to how his rotation is going with the piano movements,
Yeah.
And then there's also, and that's not to say Light Fantastic didn't have that, but then there's also, there was something else I was going to say. I forgot.
Nah, I'm really fucking impressed by this, Orthuss. Like, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That was cool. Yeah.
I would say, in terms of advice I have, it would be, this track works because there's some super intentional choices.
Yeah.
And not exactly like intentional choices from moment to moment, but intentional choices for the whole track.
Yeah.
Where you have airtime moments, and then you repeat the airtime moments when the song seems to call for it. And then, it's not like you do the exact same thing every single time the music does a thing, but you are always at least alluding to, this is what I did last time this happened in the music, And I think that's something that every track could do. Maybe not every track, but I think that's something that generally makes tracks more fun to watch. When you get to a part in the song and it's like a throwback and you're like, oh yeah, it's that thing again. The track's doing that thing again because the song is doing that thing again,
Motifs in tracks.
Yeah, motifs, exactly. That's the word.
Leitmotifs in tracks.
And I think that's why this track works so well.
Yes.
And I think that's why we like it so much. And I think that's maybe why your previous tracks didn't get hugely positive reviews from us. So yeah, I'd say just more of that. And when I talk about planning out doing that, it doesn't have to be sitting down and writing out this is what I'm gonna do when the song does this before you draw the first line. It just has to be as you're making it, when you get to something and you're like, oh, this thing is gonna repeat later in the track, then making some sort of conscious decision about what you're going to do and how you might repeat that later, And sometimes we can fall into that where we're we do a thing and it's oh, that worked. And then later on we're oh, I'll just do the same thing. But it's always better if you can plan it, because then you plan it and make sure that you will be able to do it again. Or at least, and then, sometimes you don't have to do the same thing every time, of course, but just being aware of whenever the music does something, the track is going to want to line up with it in the same way. Because if if the first time it had those bass drum kicks and you did the little lines tapping them, and then the second time you did integration manuals, it would be what are you doing? This just feels random, But because it's the same thing both times, it works really well.
Yeah. Consistency. Oh. That was a fun one to review, man. Oh, I'm pumped.
And anything to say before we sign off?
This was number 50.
This is our 50th review. That's right. Woo!
Where
are the air horns?
Shoot.
I need an air horn.
I don't have the kazoo. I got a slide whistle.
There's our celebratory slide whistle. Thanks for watching, and thanks everyone who's been watching us. We'll do more. Well, we don't have any new tracks to review. We're actually all caught up, so we're going to be doing more, old tracks.
Kind of fitting that on the 50th one, we're just okay, we did it!
We did it! We caught up! But yeah, if people make more tracks, we'll review them. Also, feel free to request tracks, and we will probably review them if you request them.
Probably. Well, I think even if somebody wants us to review a track and we're I don't like this, we should probably tell them. I mean,
I was just thinking about trolls.
Oh yes, please review this giant green penis that I've made.
Yeah, exactly. It was so that's why I
Nah.
said probably, because it's like I don't want to guarantee it because I don't want to have to take that back. See, this I'm always thinking about these things. This is what being an administrator for 8 years does to you. All right, well, that's enough rambling. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Bye.
See ya.